What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back for yet another album review for you guys. And this one, I had my eye on this one given the fact that I'm a big fan of Necrophobic, particularly their first album and their last album, and I saw that the two guitar players, Sebastian Romstead and Johan Bergbach, were doing a side project, and I thought to myself, you know what, this might be something cool to check out, so I decided to do a review for it here today. I am reviewing the debut album from Swedish black metal band Aphelion with Moribund. So, yeah, like I said, this is a new side project by both Sebastian and Johan, who are the two guitarists of one of the best black and death metal bands of all time, Necrophobic. And they said that this was more black metal oriented, and I do believe it, because, and this is also including Marco Pirgi from Cryptosis on drums, so almost a supergroup with two members of Necrophobic, one member from Cryptosis. So let's hear what these three, how they mesh on a side project. So we kick things off with World Serpent, Devourer of Dreams. After some cool bells and keyboards, straight into a big scream and blast beat with some dark tremolo riffs, and off to the races we are with this song and the album. And the riffs and the beats get really thrashy in the verse and the pre-chorus, while the chorus goes back to those blast beats and dark tremolo riffs. And even the bridge gets a little more of into like a mid-tempo groove a little bit. And once again, prepare to hear me sound like a broken record, but the lead section we get on this song has some beautiful melody attached to it that sounds like a classic metal lead section. And you're going to hear me say that a lot with the lead work, because the lead work on this album is absolutely incredible. Draugr, I believe that's how you say the next song, gets into some heavy yet melodic riffs to get us started, and it feels Iron Maiden inspired in some cases. Then it gets into this nice little clean guitar part that once again feels like Iron Maiden, and after some atmospheric build, it gets into an almost death metal chugging part, leading into a sweet gallop with the riff and the beats that was heard throughout this verse. And the chorus goes back a little bit to that groove. The second verse actually changes things up a little bit, and it gets back a little bit into like that thrashy energy that we heard a little bit on the opening track. And then afterwards, we get two different two different lead sections. The first one was definitely more melodic, but bringing in a little bit of shred, while after the final chorus, we get into the second lead, which has more feel and more atmosphere attached to it. It was like the perfect contrast between each other. Like the first lead was more melodic and a little bit of shred. Second lead was more about feel and building atmosphere than anything else. Let the Beast Run Wild, the next track. Some cool double bass, more tremolo riffs right at the beginning to unleash into some black metal chaos, bringing back more of the thrash energy pretty much all throughout this track with these riffs and the Slayer beat, as I call it. The chorus has these really sinister tremolo guitar lines going on to just make it sound even more evil. Another wonderful lead section with a great combination of feel and shred, and done in a tasteful way. And we even get like a cool like marching breakdown with some killer drum patterns going on here. Then we get into Luciferian Age, creepy, clean guitar riff right at the beginning to lead into that heavier tone coming along. And the atmosphere here definitely felt more sinister on the verses, while the bass is really going to town here, as Sebastian's actually doing the bass tracks on this album. And the vibes that I get on this track with the tempo and the riffing and the beats kind of remind me of recent Accept, like Blood of the Nations era in particular. I don't know why, I guess I was just thinking about that song The Abyss off of Blood of the Nations. It kind of reminded me of that in the beat, like it has the same beat to it. So I thought that was pretty sweet. The bridge gets into this evil tremolo line once again as it leads in back to the atmosphere of the verses that we've been hearing all throughout. Now, we get into something completely different. We get into the final track of the first half with This Night Seems Endless. Dark, somber sounding guitars help start this track off to get into also a somber lead section right away that once again brings back a little bit of that Iron Maiden influence. And as the song builds with those melodies, we then get into some doom metal territory. Like, this is the doomiest song on the album. It's pretty slow, and the main riff that we get in the verses definitely harkens back to Black Sabbath. The chorus bringing back those somber melodies from earlier, and I love the drums in the breakdown section as it leads into another amazing lead with more dark melodies going on. And the final lead of this track bringing back more of that classic metal influence. So this track, it was just absolutely well crafted with how they were able to slow things down and not go absolutely full bore speed or shred, and just really showcase some more songwriting chops with those doomy elements and reminding us of classic metal. He Who Saw the Abyss, once again starting off with this evil tremolo riff and really fast double bass. These tremolo riffs that we are getting are just going absolutely wild, and they are not messing around as they are letting you know that they are throwing down some evil shit. The blast beats coming in the pre-chorus before the guitars get a little more atmospheric in the chorus. Then afterwards the guitars and drums get into a little bit of like a Judas Priest vibe. And then the lead work here on the lead section on this track, carrying more atmosphere at the beginning before it gets down into some shred and even some tapping parts. Like, Sebastian's a hell of a guitarist. I'll talk more about that when we get into the overall synopsis. Moribund, the title track, comes in. Dark, haunting, clean guitars and some creepy spoken word to kind of set the mood before it just punches you in the face with evil black metal madness with the tremolo riffs and the blast beats. The verses get really thrashy and intense, kind of like Dissection's classic run in the 90s. The chorus here brings in some epic feels while the guitars are getting very melodic. Another awesome shredding lead section with sweet tapping in the beginning. Then it gets into a more feel mixed with a little bit of shred combined part of the lead. And the chaos that's going on here, mixed with the melody, was quite blissful, I will have to say. The Origin, the following track, classic black metal blasts and tremolo riffs right away, kind of almost mayhem, but with a little bit more melody attached. Then the tempo slows down a little bit to like a nice mid-tempo sweet spot while there's some epic ambience going on in the background during the verse, and then the chorus gets back to those evil tremolo riffs while the drums speed up and get back to how the song started with the chaotic evilness that it had. Once again, the lead section's absolutely fantastic. Great mix of feel, melody, and shred. What more can I say about that? And then we get into Sorrow, Fire, and Hate. Somber, clean guitars that eventually leads into the heaviness to get us going here before it gets into the thrashy energy and melodic and more melodic tremolo riffs to kind of keep a little bit of that somber vibe going, at least briefly, before the verses and the choruses just get down into more heavier thrash influence parts, but keeping the darkness going afterwards with some quick fire blast beats. But then you get into the bridge, which has like this death metal chug back to add a little more heaviness, and the blast and the riff that follows it almost felt like a slightly more melodic Decapitated part. Like it had a little bit of that like I would hear from early Decapitated. Then it gets into a smooth groove with the riff and the beat, and it felt like Opeth. And this song didn't have a lead section, but this song I really liked because it was more riff-focused. Like, they were more focused on writing some damn good riffs across the board, like some black metal riffs, some death metal, some almost classic metal proggy riffing going on, even though it's not a prog track. But I really enjoyed it for that reason. And then we get to the final track, Requiem. Much more atmospheric start here as the song, it's building itself up through the atmosphere as gradually the guitars start to become a little more prominent, feel a little more epic and heavy. The speed and the riffs that we get here on some parts on this track feels almost like a monomarth to some degree. One guitar maintaining that vibe while the other guitar is kind of providing more atmosphere. This track felt like it was like a combination of atmospheric black metal and melodic death metal, and I thought it was a unique combination, and it made for a really dark, atmospheric track to bring this album to a close. So overall, for a first outing for a side project featuring both the guitarists of Necrophobic and the drummer of Cryptosis, I really like this album. I think in terms of black metal, so far this is one of the better black metal albums I've heard so far here in 2022. And I just love all the different elements it was able to bring in. Like, it's black metal pretty much all throughout, but bringing in elements of death metal, elements of thrash, elements of doom and classic metal, kind of coming in here and there at different sections of the song to kind of add more diversity to the songwriting, where they could have just done a straight up black metal album. Here they kind of wanted to change things up and kind of bring in some of their influences, kind of bring in a little bit of like the Maiden, the Priest, the Sabbath, a little bit of even a little tiny bit of like Opeth and classic death metal at times, and some doom. And I really like it for that reason. Of course, the guitar work on this album, one of the best albums of this year so far in terms of guitar work. Drum work was excellent. The bass would be prominent at times. Other times it would get a little bit buried. But aside from that, and also maybe one complaint some people probably have is the kick drums felt like they were triggered a little bit. But it added an extra thud to the kick drums, I felt like, to kind of mix it with like the classic black metal guitar sounding, or the classic black metal sounding guitars. I cannot get my words right for some reason. But overall, really, there's not much to I can't find anything to complain about this album. This is a fucking strong album, and I give it a 9.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this first outing for this side project, and who knows, maybe Johan and Sebastian will take what they did on here and kind of apply a little bit of that to maybe the next Necrophobic album and kind of help change things up for Necrophobic a little bit. Or if it just stays in this project, hopefully this project continues, because this was some very strong black metal with melody, heaviness, chug, classic metal, some doomy nods, some thrash. It was a great mixture of pretty much most things extreme. But anyways, what did you guys think of Moribund by Aphelion? Let me know in the comments section below, and until next time, horns high, and I will see you soon. Wake up.
This is interesting.
And wow. I can go ahead and confirm.
I was the revealer. I flip Levi's card. There's my revealer card.
I was hoping this would happen. Okay.
The heck happened?
Alright.
What in the
world? God.
Misappropriated.
Okay, I was the robber, and I took Seth's revealer.
What the heck?
So Seth and I are safe. Bad news for everyone else.
And I'm a prince again,
I literally was squinting because I'm like, that looks like a revealer card, but wait, I'm the revealer.